If it's one thing the gaming industry wants, it's control. They want control over what you play, how you play, the time you're giving to them, and also what games even look like or what games in fact get made. And that's an incredibly scary thing to see. I want you to stop and think for a second though. Think about all the games you played in the last 5 years and what game engines were used when making those games. 9 times out of 10, it's more than likely going to be Unreal Engine or Unity. Now, there are games that have their own proprietary engine, but those are few and far between unless a developer or publisher makes them on their own. And the thing is, this causes a lot of problems. Unity has had massive issues concerning the amount of licensing fees that are happening whenever somebody uses that engine in the first place. We've talked about that before. Also, Unreal Engine 5 has massive issues overall and can be a huge burden on not only the developer, but also the user as well. And then dealing with Epic Games has never been any fun either. And even with all these issues happening between those two behemoths in the game development space, other engines are cropping up as well. Things like Godot being completely open source, a definite change from what Unity does right now. But the thing is, though, it looks like there's going to be another engine that people are in fact pining for. One that people and game developers and publishers are looking at and saying, hey, when's that SDK going to come out and how are they going to change and impact the entire gaming industry? We're talking about Source 2. Yeah, believe it or not, Valve has been working on Source 2 for the past 10 years, and the SDK is basically kept locked up and private, having zero access to a lot of game developers in the first place to even use it. And we've seen what it can actually do with games like Half-Life Alyx and its water physics and the way the game in fact looks compared to other games today. And also with Counter-Strike 2 and even Dota 2. Huge overhaul changes that can truly change the entire way a video game is in fact made and also played. But the thing is, though, this isn't just about game development or game engines. No, it's about how Valve is going to completely buck the entire trend of game engines and turn the entire industry on its head. Not only giving people a complete option on how to make a video game, but also do it for basically free. And not just that, but also giving you the ability to sell that game that you made on Steam. The thing is, though, there's a catch, and it's actually a pretty good one. According to PC Gamer, Gary's Mod successor, s&box, finally arrives on Steam April 28th. Now, I know what you're thinking to yourself, Alex, you were talking about Source 2. What in the hell is s&box? Well, it's a game engine made by the people at Face Punch Games. They've made a couple of classics you might have heard of, things like Gary's Mod and even Rust. The thing, though, that makes s&box completely special is that it's not just a game engine, it's a game engine made out of Source 2, and it's a spiritual successor to Gary's Mod. With the website for s&box saying this, s&box isn't Gary's Mod 2. It's built to eclipse what was possible before, not just modernize it. We're using Source 2 and everything we've learned from Source 1, Gary's Mod, Unity, and Unreal to create a modern, intuitive, moddable game development environment. Like Rust and Gary's Mod, this is a long-term project. We're building the platform we want to use ourselves, something we'll work on and improve on the next couple of decades. So what you have right here is an entire game engine based on the Source 2 SDK and also using other tricks and tools from other engines as well applied into one specific place, being a completely new way to make video games. Not only having all of the access to Source 2, but also refining all of the Valve jank that you see normally in so many games by that company, and having a cleaner user interface with the ability to in fact make games and put them directly onto Steam. And that is the part that people are in fact truly interested in and even seeing what can happen in the future. The thing is, though, there's more to this article on PC Gamer, so let's check it out and go from there. The article says this: the April 28th launch date is more of a refinement than a big surprise, as we've known for a while now that s&box would be out sometime in April. The bigger news dropped last week when Facepunch announced that it signed a licensed deal with Valve that will allow s&box users to make games with it, then export them and release them as a standalone game on Steam without having to pay Facepunch anything. Has it sunk in yet? Have you figured it out yet? What's actually happening and what Valve signed on with Facepunch to do, and exactly what people are going to be so excited about in the first place? We're looking at in real time right now, giving millions of players and PC users the entire ability to make their own game, use an engine like Source 2 with their SDK, and even export the game directly onto Steam and not pay a single dime. This is massive. This is true open source ability for users, game developers, and publishers to make video games and provide new ways of doing it without spending millions of dollars on game development and engine costs and fees. And that's exactly why so many people are in fact excited about this. Check this out. Gabe Follower on Twitter said this back in March. Gary Newman shared that Facepunch finalized license agreements with Valve to release projects created on Source 2 using s&box as separate games on Steam, completely royalty-free. The first of these may be My Summer Cottage, created by Smallfish. Stop and think about that for a second. Think about how many indie games you've played that really could have been made so much better with a better engine, or games that could have been made in the first place without having to pay all those insane licensing and royalty fees. Think about all the ideas people have, all the mods that were made, and every other game that's come to fruition simply because they had access to a better engine. That could be a massive, huge impact on the gaming industry. And look, don't roll your eyes at me thinking it's not going to make that big of an impact, Alex. Everybody uses Unreal anyways. We'll stop and think about it from this perspective. Imagine if modders back then, the people that made Counter-Strike, which is actually a mod of Half-Life, had access to something like s&box when they were making it in the first place. And then imagine how big Counter-Strike got just 20 years later. That is what we're talking about. Think about Dota 2 and even League of Legends, a game that was a mod from Warcraft 3, and now are some of the biggest games on the actual planet, creating their own specific kind of genre. Then give that kind of power and technology that could go through and give every other indie game developer access to tools and an engine that could literally put your game onto Steam and on a platform and provide user-generated content by the millions across the entire world. Almost basically infinite games, giving these tools and the power to the industry itself, no longer having to be beholden to AAA development and having to go through and spend all those millions of dollars. Instead, a lot of people who can make passion projects like Expedition 33 and so many others could have the ability to do so and get the games done and then even publish it themselves. No publisher required, no crazy dev expenses, and more games to play than ever before. Here's a statement from Gary from Gary's Mod saying this: we signed the new license with Valve this week, allowing us to allow people to export games from s&box's editor and ship them as standalone games on Steam without paying us anything. This has been a bit of a complicated journey, but with a lot of reassurance and compromises, we've got there. We still have work to do on our end. We need to create a license between Facepunch and the people shipping games, then double and triple check everything is legit, but I wanted to share this progress with the community so they know that Valve did the bizzo. When it's ready, we'll be piloting it with a few select people. The first out the door is likely to be My Summer Cottage. And the funniest part about all of this is you don't even have to buy s&box to use it. In fact, it's open source on GitHub, which is even more wild when you think about it. We're looking at the fact that Valve worked directly with Gary and Facepunch Studios to make this thing happen in the first place and truly push out something to the users and the industry itself that could completely revolutionize the entire gaming industry. Think about how absurd everything gets every time you run an Unreal Engine 5 game. shader starter compilation, traversal starter compilation, needing to buy the most insane kind of hardware every single time to basically get just minimal frame rates. Instead, now with s&box, game developers have the complete power of Valve with the Source 2 SDK and some of the major refinement engines that happened with Facepunch Studios putting that into play inside of the engine, which makes accessing to customers even easier, putting games onto Steam, and then making Steam one of the biggest de facto places to play for indie games and, dare I even say, AAA game studios using this engine as well and putting games out there on top of this. An entirely new, complete renaissance of video games could be coming down the pipeline with this sort of thing. And what makes this even better is how Source 2 in fact performs, especially with hardware that is not the top of the line. When you look at what can be done with the Source 2 SDK and how games can in fact actually look, even with limited hardware, you're looking at exactly what Valve needs for more games to be on the platform, more game developers to put games onto Steam, and even then being able to go through and provide software that users can play on a variety of hardware. No more dealing with Lumen or ridiculous ray tracing, because now you have VRAD 3, which honestly, in my opinion, looks even better than what we're being shoved at with on a consistent basis. Half-Life Alyx is a perfect example, and even some of the bigger changes with CS2 also prove this point as well. What's even crazier about s&box is the fact that you could actually have multiplayer right directly in the engine itself. No need to put the game out or publish it. It can all be available to you at that moment in time to even test with your friends. With the website saying this: play hundreds of community-made games, from shooters and platformers to puzzlers and racers. Team up with friends right from the main menu and jump into any game together. No installs, no subs, no add-ons, just click and play. So with Valve and Facepunch Studios literally working together to iron out all of the issues that legal would have with publishing your own game directly onto Steam and having direct access to an entire SDK of Source 2, which is an engine everybody wants to have access to make video games, you're looking at a completely new way that the entire gaming industry was never able to in fact make games before and give access to new developers, new players, and even current ones to make more games in a more cost-effective manner and provide more games to users who buy the Steam machine. That's right. You see, it's all connected in this entire piece. When you have a game engine that is fully optimized, that works well, that provides more content and gives users the ability to just not only buy games, but also make them, now you've got an entire set of content available for every user on that specific platform. And the crazier part is, it looks like Valve has also been doing some insane optimizations on 8GB GPUs in Linux. According to Digital Foundry on Twitter, Valve deploys Linux updates to make games run better on 8GB GPUs, which sounds like a good fit for the Steam machine. With the article saying this: gaming on Linux with a graphics card with 8GB or less of VRAM just got a bit easier thanks to Valve developer Natalie Vach. She recently created fixes that ensure limited VRAM is prioritized for games, thereby improving performance, preventing stutters, and generally making for a smoother gaming experience. By having this prioritization in place, your available VRAM can effectively grow by hundreds of megabytes or even a few full gigabytes, which is massive on a system with only 2, 4, 6, or 8GB in total. You will still need to keep an eye on the game's VRAM usage, as exceeding what's physically available will still cause performance issues, but this optimization is still well worth activating. So have you stopped and thought about all the pieces together yet? Have you put everything together and realized exactly what Valve is doing, especially with Facepunch Studios working together about the royalty fees and even then the newest update to Linux with 8GB VRAM GPUs? This is a massive play that Valve is doing, completely upending the entire duopoly on the gaming industry and how games are in fact made and even how they're distributed in the first place and who can in fact make games as well. We are now looking at the massive possibility of GPUs that are lower in VRAM being able to play a lot of games at a higher fidelity and better frame rate because of these changes, and at the same time giving access to a game engine like the Source 2 SDK through Facepunch being able to put that engine out there and provide new users, developers, and publishers access to all of these tools at the same exact time for free. And that's the crazier part about all of this and what Valve and Facepunch Studios are actually doing. They're not going around and trying to restrict the gaming industry, asking for licensing fees, asking for the ability to pay them more, or in fact, going around and saying, you got to give us this money every time you use the engine. No, what they're doing instead is saying, hey bro, check it out. It's on GitHub. Make the video game. Publish the video game. Make the money. Go ahead. We want all the content on our platform, regardless of anybody on that actual space. And that is a huge win for Valve, especially because we're looking at the entire gaming industry using ubiquitous engines like Unreal Engine 5 and even Unity, but still having massive complaints and issues. Every character looking overtly shiny or in fact wet all the time for no particular reason whatsoever. Or at the same time having massive performance issues and having to buy GPUs that are overly expensive just to get the same amount of performance that you would get if they would just optimize the actual video game. Now you're seeing it from the opposite direction. Now Valve is saying, hey, look, here it is, the whole thing, the kit and caboodle, ready for you to use at any specific time. And this could be a massive game changer, pardon the pun, for the gaming industry itself, giving Valve the ability to say, we're going to have the most content, we're going to have the most games, and if you want to, you can in fact make your own game and place it on the Steam platform completely royalty-free and never have to worry about anything else ever again. Valve is literally setting up their entire platform and ecosystem to be not only the most player-friendly, but also the most developer-friendly at the exact same time, giving access to something like the Source 2 SDK, and also the ability to publish games on their own. No longer will developers have to worry about needing a giant publisher or having to spend all this money. They can just do it on their own with a small team and get the game done. And we've seen these kinds of things happen before, like I talked about previously. Counter-Strike and Dota were made by just a couple of people in their early days, and that could be a huge game industry changer if more games like that come out simply because somebody had tools and access to make a mod. Imagine the kind of games we would get now with everybody else having access to those exact same tools and being able to publish their content directly onto the Steam platform, and having games optimized better overall for GPUs with 8 GB of VRAM and having better access to play more games in a more efficient manner. And that is exactly why so many people are excited about the Steam machine, I myself included, and even what Valve is doing for now and in the future. This could be exactly what the gaming industry is so incredibly terrified of every time Valve walks into the room. Being able to provide these tools to every single user and give access to this kind of power to be able to make the games on their own without needing that big publisher backing is exactly what helps people become more creative and gives you and I better games across the board. Not only better games, but better looking games, better playing games, and more creative ones as well. This is a massive win, and I can't wait to see what happens because of it. But you know what? I want to hear what you guys got to say about this in the comments section down below. Do you think this is a good plan? Do you think this will disrupt the gaming industry? Or do you think game developers and publishers will stick with what they know best, which is Unreal and Unity? I want to hear what you guys got to say. Speaking about what you got to say, here in fact is the comment of the day from yesterday's video. With EC Bald 1921 saying this, I've already moved to Linux months ago, not going back. Everything is working fine over here. Can't trust anyone with investors to answer to, in my opinion. All right, I gotta stop myself real quick. It's not EC Bald, it's Ek Bald. I'm tired, guys. I just can't. First of all, it's like a multi-layered joke and I wasn't ready for it whatsoever, so thanks for getting me on that. And yes, also a lot of people are moving to Linux, and why Valve, SteamOS, and the Steam machine are going to be bigger threats to the gaming industry than people actually realize, and why everyone is in fact terrified of Valve. But as always though, if you want to see more of this kind of content, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and even live streams, subscribe to the channel. If you want Discord access or emotes during those live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Just come on down Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel as I wear a banana suit and get insulted with TTS. As always, Saturday nights, live, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, right here on the channel. It's a hell of a show. You don't want to miss it. Oh, and if you want even more content, subscribe to my second gaming channel as well. Oh no, it's Alex Gaming. New videos out every Monday, and soon to possibly be streaming there daily as well. Come on down, check it out too. With all that being said though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!